It began with a whisper in the storms of Jupiter. Dr. Sarah Chen stood at the primary observation deck of Europa Station, her dark eyes fixed on the swirling red clouds of the gas giant dominating the view. The signal they detected 3 months ago pulsed again on her tablet, a rhythm too precise to be natural, too alien to be human. "They're saying we should shut it down," Commander James Rodriguez said, joining her at the window. His weathered face reflected in the reinforced glass, lined with the concerns of managing humanity's furthest permanent outpost. "The UN Security Council thinks we're not ready for what we might find." Sarah traced the signal's pattern with her finger. "Look at these frequencies, James. Whatever's down there, it's been waiting. The power signature is getting stronger every day." The massive form of Jupiter filled their view, its great red spot churning with violent storms that could swallow Earth whole. Somewhere in those clouds, something was awakening. "The deep probe launches in 20 minutes, James said quietly. "If you're wrong about this, I'm not." Sarah gathered her data tablets. "That signal matches no known natural phenomenon. The energy readings suggest technology far beyond our current capabilities. We have to know." The launch bay hummed with activity as teams of engineers performed final checks on the Prometheus probe. Designed to withstand Jupiter's crushing pressures, it represented the pinnacle of human engineering, and possibly humanity's first contact with proof of alien intelligence. Sarah took her place at the control station, surrounded by screens showing every aspect of the probe's systems. Her hands moved across the haptic controls. Running through the launch sequence, she practiced countless times. "Probe telemetry nominal," reported Dr. Yuki Tanaka from the engineering station. "Hull integrity at 100%. All systems green." "Launch window opens in 5 minutes," James announced. "Last chance to abort, Doctor." Sarah met his gaze. "We didn't come all this way to turn back now." The countdown proceeded with mechanical precision. The probe dropped from Europa Station's belly, its ion engines flaring to life as it began its descent into Jupiter's atmosphere. Layer by layer, it plunged deeper into the gas giant's storms. Signal strength increasing, Yuki called out, "Whatever's down there, we're getting closer." At the 100-kilometer mark, the probe's cameras captured something impossible, a dark shape in the clouds, geometric and clearly artificial. The observation deck erupted in gasps and muttered exclamations. "Enhanced imaging online," Sarah said, her voice steady despite her racing heart. The shape resolved itself into a massive vessel, its hull covered in patterns that seemed to drink in light rather than reflect it. It's a ship." The probe's scans revealed a vessel over 2 kilometers in length, constructed of materials that defied analysis. It hung suspended in Jupiter's storms, as if the gas giant's crushing pressures meant nothing. "Getting energy readings off the scale," Yuki reported. "The signal, it's changed." The alien ship's surface began to ripple with patterns of light. Sections of its hull shifted and reformed, as if the entire structure was waking from a long slumber. Multiple contacts. The sensor operator's voice cracked with alarm. "Objects entering the system at FTL speeds. They're decelerating near Mars orbit." Before anyone could react, every screen in the control room flickered and changed. A face appeared, humanoid but clearly alien, with iridescent scales, instead of skin and eyes that glowed like molten gold. "Children of Earth," the alien spoke, its words somehow translated into perfect English. "You have awakened the Harbinger too soon. The Vrax Dominion cannot allow this. For the safety of this galaxy, your species must be eliminated." The transmission cut off. Sensor data showed over 50 alien warships entering the solar system, their weapons already charging. Sarah looked back at the ancient vessel suspended in Jupiter's clouds. "No," she whispered. "We found it just in time." The Harbinger's surface erupted with lines of energy that seemed to tear at the fabric of space itself. Its presence had already changed everything. Humanity's place in the cosmos, their chances for survival, and the very nature of what was possible. The war for Earth's existence was about to begin, and Sarah knew that the ship they'd discovered would be either humanity's salvation or the witness to their extinction. Commander Rodriguez keyed the station's general alert. All personnel to battle stations. This is not a drill. He turned to Sarah, his expression grim. Dr. Chen, I hope you can figure out how to use that thing. Because right now, it's the only advantage we've got. The alien ship pulsed once more in Jupiter's storms, as if in response to humanity's desperate need. The question was no longer whether humanity was ready for what they'd found. Now, they had no choice but to be ready. The journey to the Harbinger took 36 hours. Dr. Sarah Chen watched through the shuttle's viewport as they approached the ancient vessel, now relocated to high Jupiter orbit. Teams of engineers in specialized EVA suits swarmed around its massive hull like brilliant fireflies against the void. Admiral Helena West stood beside her, arms crossed as she studied the impossible ship. The Vrax fleet will reach Earth in 5 days. Tell me you've made progress. Sarah pulled up her latest findings on the main display. The ship's outer hull is composed of materials that don't exist on our periodic table. But that's not the strangest part. She highlighted sections of the scan data. The entire structure appears to be alive, in a sense. It adapts and changes at the molecular level. Can we control it? That's the thing. It's been responding to us. Watch this. Sarah transmitted a specific frequency toward a section of the hull. The material rippled like liquid mercury, forming an entrance where moments before there had been only smooth surface. The boarding team moved cautiously through the newly formed passage. Inside, corridors stretched in impossible directions, seeming to bend the very geometry of space. The walls pulsed with soft light that followed their movements. It's like it knows we're here, Captain Maya Patel whispered, her voice filled with wonder. She led the security detail accompanying the scientists, almost like it's been waiting for us. They reached what appeared to be a central chamber. Holographic displays sprang to life around them, showing star maps and technical schematics that defy comprehension. Sarah approached a central pedestal that seemed to beckon to her. The Vrax weren't lying about one thing, she said, studying the ancient symbols that scrolled across the displays. We weren't supposed to find this yet. The ship was in hibernation, waiting for humanity to reach a specific technological threshold. Which we haven't reached, Admiral West concluded. No, but the Vrax forced our hand. And now, Sarah placed her hand on the pedestal. The chamber hummed with energy, and new displays materialized, showing technical specifications that made her breath catch. Now we have to learn fast. Back on Earth, the United Defense Council gathered in their underground facility beneath the Himalayas. Holographic projections showed the approaching Vrax fleet, 57 warships, each capable of devastating a continent. The Harbinger's weapon systems are unlike anything we've ever seen, Sarah explained to the assembled leaders. It doesn't just destroy targets, it rewrites the laws of physics around them, but learning to control it. We don't have time for a learning curve, Doctor, General Zhang interrupted. The Vrax have already destroyed our outer system defenses. Mars colony is dark. The Luna base is evacuating. Sarah pulled up the ship's combat footage from ancient battles. The Harbinger was built by a civilization that understood space-time as a programming language. They could edit reality itself, but using it requires a complete paradigm shift in how we think about physics. Then shift faster, Admiral West ordered, because in 5 days, we either figure this out or humanity becomes extinct. The next 96 hours passed in a blur of discoveries and breakthroughs. Sarah and her team worked until they collapsed, sleeping in short shifts before returning to their tasks. The Harbinger seemed to respond to their desperate need, revealing more of its secrets with each passing hour. They learned that its weapons didn't fire energy beams or projectiles. They created localized bubbles where the laws of physics could be rewritten. Matter could be convinced to forget it was solid, or space could be folded until 2 points touched. It's not just a weapon, Sarah realized on the 4th day, staring at the latest test results. It's a tool for editing reality. The civilization that built it had transcended the difference between technology and natural law. But mastering such power in days instead of generations came with risks. During one test, a miscalculation caused a small moon of Jupiter to temporarily cease existing. It reappeared 3 seconds later, but the incident highlighted the dangers they faced. The Vrax fleet entered the inner solar system right on schedule. Their first transmission was brief. "Surrender, and we will make your extinction painless. Resist, and we will ensure your species suffers." Earth's combined military forces mobilized, knowing they were hopelessly outmatched by conventional measures. Everything hinged on the Harbinger, and on humanity's ability to understand its power in time. Sarah stood on the bridge of the ancient vessel, now crewed by a hastily trained team of Earth's finest. The ship hummed around them, its systems fully awakened for the first time in millennia. Through the view screens, they watched the Vrax fleet approach, their weapons charged and shields at maximum. "All stations report ready," Captain Patel announced from Tactical. Admiral West took her command position. "Dr. Chen, is there anything else we should know before we engage?" Sarah studied the alien controls that had become almost familiar over the past days. "Just one thing. I don't think this ship was left here by accident. Someone wanted us to find it. Someone wanted humanity to have this power. Let's hope we're worthy of it," the Admiral replied. "Because we're about to find out." The Harbinger's systems pulsed with building energy as humanity prepared to fight its first interstellar war. The weapon that could rewrite reality was in their hands. The question was, could they master it in time to save their species from extinction? The Vrax flagship emerged from its faster-than-light corridor near Earth's moon, its massive form casting a shadow across the lunar surface. Behind it, 56 warships took formation, their weapons arrays glowing with contained energy that could reduce continents to ash. Inside the Harbinger, Sarah Chen's fingers danced across control surfaces that responded to thought as much as touch. The ancient ship systems had merged with their human operators in ways that defied explanation, creating a synthesis of mind and machine that grew stronger by the hour. "Multiple targeting locks detected," Captain Patel reported. "They're painting everything from the Harbinger to civilian shelters in Australia." Admiral West's voice remained steady. "Begin the deception protocol. Let's see if Dr. Chen's theory works." The Harbinger's outer hull rippled, and suddenly there were 5 of them. Perfect duplicates scattered across Earth's orbit. The Vrax fleet's targeting systems fluctuated, trying to determine which ship was real. Signal from the Vrax flagship. Communications announced. "They're demanding immediate surrender." "Show me," West ordered. The alien commander appeared on their main display, his scaled face twisted in what might have been amusement. "Your primitive attempts at holographic deception are beneath you. Surrender now, and we will preserve your species in a protected reservation. Continue this resistance, and we will ensure nothing remains of your civilization but radioactive dust." West met the alien's gaze. "You invaded our system, threatened our species, and demanded our surrender. But you made one critical mistake." She nodded to Sarah. "You gave us time to learn." The Harbinger's primary systems surged with power. Sarah felt the ship's consciousness merge with her own, showing her possibilities that existed in the spaces between conventional physics. "Reality anchor points locked," she announced. "Executing primary sequence." Space itself seemed to hiccup. A sphere of distorted physics expanded from the Harbinger, engulfing the nearest Vrax warship. Inside that sphere, the laws of nature became suggestions rather than rules. Matter forgot how to maintain atomic bonds. Energy lost its conviction about traveling in straight lines. The Vrax vessel didn't explode. It simply ceased to exist in any meaningful way, its component atoms deciding they'd rather not associate with each other anymore. Stunned silence filled the command deck. The Vrax fleet's formation broke as ships scattered, their commander suddenly facing a weapon that ignored their advanced shields as if they didn't exist. "By the void," the Vrax commander whispered. "What have you done?" We learned, West replied simply. Target the next group. The battle that followed would be remembered for centuries. The Harbinger danced through space, its reality-warping weapons transforming the void between planets into an artist's canvas, where the laws of physics were more like guidelines. Vrak's ships found themselves occupying the same space as their own weapons fire. Others discovered that their metal hulls had decided to become transparent to vacuum. Sarah guided the ship's consciousness, feeling it teach her new ways to bend reality with each passing moment. They're attempting to synchronize their shields, she reported. Adapting our approach. The next reality bubble caused a Vrak's cruiser's shield harmonics to synchronize with its own hull plating. The resulting feedback loop turned the massive vessel inside out. Vrak's fleet showing signs of breaking, Patel announced. Multiple ships attempting emergency FTL jumps. Don't let them escape, West ordered. If they report back what they've seen, they'll return with an even larger force. Sarah accessed a deeper level of the Harbinger's capabilities, one they'd only theorized about during their crash course in impossible physics. Space itself buckled around the retreating Vrak ships, turning their faster-than-light corridors into loops that deposited them right back where they'd started. The alien commander's face appeared again, this time showing an emotion that needed no translation. Fear. What are you? The Harbinger was meant to sleep for another 1,000 years. You shouldn't be capable of this level of control. You forced our evolution, Sarah replied, understanding flowing through her connection with the ship. The Harbinger wasn't just waiting for humanity to reach a technological threshold. It was waiting for the right moment, when we would have no choice but to transcend our limitations. The remaining Vrak ships clustered together, their formation suggesting they were preparing for a final desperate attack. You cannot be allowed to exist, the commander declared. The power you wield will destroy the galaxy. No, West countered. It will change it. Stand down, or we will demonstrate exactly how much we've learned in the past 5 days. The Vrak's response came in the form of weapons fire, every remaining ship unleashing their full arsenal at Earth. Sarah felt the Harbinger's consciousness merge completely with her own, showing her possibilities that existed beyond conventional dimensions. Reality shuddered. The space between the Vrak's fleet and Earth briefly contained more dimensions than physics typically allowed. When it snapped back to normal, the energy from the Vrak's weapons had been redistributed across an area roughly the size of the solar system, rendering it harmless. Final warning, West announced to the stunned alien fleet. Retreat and tell your leaders what you witnessed here. Stay, and we'll be forced to demonstrate the full extent of what we've learned. The Vrak's commander's scales had lost their luster, his posture showing defeat. You've doomed us all, he whispered. The power of the Harbinger was sealed away for a reason. When the others learn what you can do, then let them learn, Sarah replied, the ship's knowledge flowing through her. And let them understand that humanity will not be easily extinguished. The Vrak's fleet retreated in disarray, their once proud armada reduced to a handful of ships limping away at sublight speeds. As they fled, they transmitted a warning to every civilization within range. The humans have awakened the world ender. The impossible weapon has chosen its wielders. Beware Earth. Admiral West turned to Sarah, who was gradually disentangling her consciousness from the Harbinger systems. How much of its capabilities have we actually mastered? Sarah smiled, her mind still spinning with possibilities that defied conventional physics. Maybe 5%, maybe less. But that's not what matters. She looked at the main display, where the stars seemed to shimmer with new potential. What matters is that we're learning, and we're just getting started. News of the Vrak's defeat spread across the galaxy like a shockwave. In the Great Hall of Concordance on the neutral world of Centauri Prime, representatives from 30 spacefaring civilizations gathered in emergency session. The massive chamber hummed with tension as recordings of the battle played on floating screens. Archaeologist Zinra of the Eternals, one of the galaxy's oldest species, addressed the assembly. His crystalline form caught the light as he gestured at the footage. What you witness here was meant to be impossible. The Harbinger was sealed in Jupiter's storms by our ancestors for a reason. Its power was deemed too dangerous for any single species to control. Sarah Chen stood at Earth's newly granted podium, the first human to address the Galactic Concordance. Admiral West and Captain Patel flanked her, their presence a reminder of humanity's swift rise from isolation to power. Yet your ancestors left it where we would find it, Sarah countered. Not hidden in deep space or destroyed, but placed in our solar system like a gift waiting to be unwrapped. The chamber erupted in overlapping voices and translated arguments. The swarm consciousness of the Ix clicked and buzzed their concerns. The humans bend reality itself. They could unmake any world that opposes them. From their quantum-locked observation cube, the digital collective of the Machine Empire added, "Our simulations show a 78.3% probability that unrestricted human access to the Harbinger's technology will lead to galactic instability within 1 standard year." Sarah felt the weight of alien eyes upon her, some filled with fear, others with calculation. "We didn't ask for this power," she said quietly, but her words carried through the chamber. "The Vraks forced our hand. They gave us no choice but to master in days what was meant to take generations. And that is precisely what terrifies us," came a new voice. A figure emerged from the shadows at the chamber's edge, tall, ethereal, with skin that reflected starlight. Grand Observer Lyra of the Precursor Remnant, a civilization so advanced they rarely interacted with younger species. The chamber fell silent. Even the Eternals showed deference to the Precursor representative. In 5 days, Lyra continued, moving with liquid grace toward the center of the chamber. "Your species went from barely understanding the Harbinger's basic functions to rewriting the laws of physics in a combat situation. No species in recorded history has demonstrated such rapid adaptation." "We had motivation," Admiral West replied dryly. "Extinction tends to focus the mind." Indeed. Lyra's starlit gaze swept the chamber, and now the galaxy faces a choice. The Vraks' dominion calls for a unified strike against Earth before humans can fully master the Harbinger's power. Others suggest containment protocols, isolation barriers around your solar system. Sarah stepped forward. "And what do the precursors suggest?" A smile played across Lyra's luminescent features. "We suggest that perhaps this is exactly what was meant to happen." The chamber erupted again, but Lyra raised a hand for silence. "Consider the placement of the Harbinger. Consider the timing of its discovery. Consider how perfectly suited its systems were for human neural integration. Does this seem like random chance to anyone in this chamber?" Zinra's crystalline form pulsed with agitation. "You cannot be suggesting that humanity was chosen." Lyra finished. "That among all the species in this galaxy they were deemed worthy of this power. That is precisely what I suggest." The implications rippled through the assembly. The Machine Empire's quantum cube pulsed with rapid calculations. The swarm consciousness buzzed in agitated patterns. "But why?" demanded the Vraks representative, speaking for the first time since the session began. "Why give such power to a species so young, so volatile?" "Perhaps," Sarah said, an insight from her connection with the Harbinger surfacing, "because we're young enough to still be shaped by it, old enough to understand its power, but not so set in our ways that we can't adapt to its possibilities." Lyra nodded, starlight dancing across her form. "The galaxy stands at a crossroads. The old powers are stagnating. The established laws of physics have become a cage rather than a framework for growth. Perhaps what we need is a species that can look at the impossible and say, why not? And if they destroy us all in the process," the Vraks representative demanded. "Then we will have failed the test as much as you did," Admiral West replied. "You could have approached us in peace. You could have guided our development. Instead, you chose extinction. We chose survival." The Harbinger's presence seemed to echo in Sarah's mind, showing her glimpses of possibilities that stretched beyond the present moment. "We don't want to rule the galaxy," she announced to the chamber. "We don't want to rewrite reality on a whim. What we want is to explore, to learn, to grow. And perhaps, she smiled at Lyra, to help others remember how to do the same. The Grand Observer's expression suggested this was exactly the answer she had hoped for. The question before this assembly is not whether to contain humanity or destroy them. The question is, who among you is brave enough to join them on this journey into the impossible? One by one, representatives began to signal their positions. The machine empire, ever practical, was the first to offer alliance. The swarm consciousness followed, their natural adaptability recognizing the advantages of alignment with humanity. Others joined more cautiously, while some maintained neutral positions to watch and wait. As the session concluded, Lyra approached Sarah privately. You understand that this is just the beginning. That the power you now wield will attract both allies and enemies beyond counting. Sarah thought of the Harbinger, waiting in Earth orbit, its systems still holding countless secrets to be discovered. We understand. But thanks to the Vrax, we also understand what we're capable of when our survival is at stake. Good. Lyra's smile held ancient wisdom, because the galaxy is about to change, and humanity will be the catalyst. The question is, are you ready for what comes next? Sarah met the precursor's starlit gaze. I don't think anyone can be truly ready for what we've started, but we're certainly ready to find out. 3 months after the Galactic Concordance, Sarah Chen stood in the Harbinger's core chamber, surrounded by swirling holograms that mapped the structure of reality itself. The ship had continued to reveal its secrets, each discovery more profound than the last. But today was different. Today, they had found something that changed everything. You're certain about this? Admiral West asked, studying the ancient data patterns that floated before them. Captain Patil and a team of Earth's top scientists had joined them, along with Grand Observer Lyra of the Precursors. The evidence is undeniable, Sarah replied, manipulating the holographic display. The Harbinger wasn't just built by an advanced civilization. It was built by us, by humanity, or rather, what humanity will become. Lyra's starlit form shifted in what might have been approval. You've found the temporal markers. They're encoded in the ship's quantum structure, Sarah confirmed. This vessel wasn't just hidden in Jupiter's storms. It was sent back in time, placed there deliberately for us to find at exactly this moment in our development. The chamber hummed with energy as Sarah accessed deeper layers of the ship's consciousness. New displays materialized, showing timeline projections that stretched centuries into the future. The Harbinger is more than a weapon or a tool. It's a key meant to unlock humanity's next evolutionary step. But why? Patil asked. Why go through such an elaborate plan? Why not simply give us this technology when we were ready? Because of this, Sarah brought up a new simulation. It showed humanity developing normally, advancing through the stages of technological progress without the intervention of the Harbinger. The result was stagnation, a slow decline into mediocrity as they followed the same paths as countless other species. We needed the pressure, West realized. The threat of extinction, the desperate circumstances. Exactly. Lyra moved through the holographic displays like a star through space. Your future selves understood that humanity's greatest advances come not from comfort, but from necessity. You needed a crisis that would force you to transcend your limitations. The Harbinger systems pulsed, revealing yet another layer of truth. Sarah saw images of humanity spreading across the galaxy, not as conquerors but as innovators. They were the ones who looked at the impossible and found ways to make it real. Other species had accepted the laws of physics as immutable barriers. Humanity learned to see them as suggestions. The Vrax weren't randomly chosen either, were they? Sarah asked Lyra. Your people guided them to us, knowing how they would react. The Precursor's smile held ancient secrets. We have been the caretakers, ensuring that the timeline progressed as it must. The Vrax's pride and fear made them perfect catalysts for your transformation. New alerts flashed across the displays. Throughout the ship, systems that had been dormant were awakening, recognizing that their moment had finally come. Sarah felt the Harbinger's consciousness expand, offering humanity access to knowledge that would change them forever. "It's starting," she whispered. "The next phase." The ship's core began to pulse with energy that defied conventional physics. Around Earth, sensors detected quantum fluctuations as reality itself responded to the changes beginning within the Harbinger. Humanity stood at the threshold of becoming something new, not by conquering or destroying, but by understanding the true nature of existence itself. "There will be resistance," West warned. "Not everyone in the galaxy will accept this change." "No," Lyra agreed. "But that too is part of the design. Humanity needs challenges to grow, opposition to overcome. You will face enemies who fear your potential, and allies who see in you the future they desire for themselves." Sarah watched as the Harbinger's systems interfaced with Earth's networks, beginning the slow process of elevating human consciousness to new levels of understanding. They would not become gods. That was never the goal. Instead, they would become explorers of possibility, architects of the improbable. "We're about to change everything," Sarah said, feeling the weight of the moment, "not just for humanity, but for all sentient life." "That's why you were chosen," Lyra replied. "Other species seek to preserve what is. Humanity dreams of what could be." The Harbinger's core pulsed one final time, and Sarah understood the full scope of what they had begun. The ship wasn't just a weapon or a tool. It was a seed, planted by humanity's future selves to ensure their own evolution. The circle was complete. Admiral West squared her shoulders, facing the future with the same determination that had carried humanity through its first interstellar war. "Well then, let's not keep destiny waiting." As the Harbinger began its work, transforming humanity one insight at a time, Sarah thought about the long journey ahead. They would face challenges, conflicts, and choices that would test their wisdom as much as their power. But for the first time in history, humanity's potential was truly unlimited. The stars themselves seemed to shine brighter, as if recognizing that something profound had changed in the galaxy. Humanity had not just survived extinction, they had discovered their true purpose. They were the ones who would remind the galaxy how to dream, how to grow, how to believe in the impossible. And that was just the beginning.